Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to this Friday night community race as we are going for a quest for value, cave value. I'm joined in the booth tonight. I'm Stoppable Force. I'm joined in the booth tonight by Possum Orpheus. Possum, how are you doing?
I can't complain and it wouldn't help, and I am overjoyed to be here with you, Stoppable. We get to watch some amazing runners race an amazing flag set.
I know, look at this. There will be spelunking a Merit Hollow, surveying an asset den. What's not to love about all these?
I am personally looking forward to probing a recompense grotto. That's one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, I never get enough of a good grotto.
Indeed. But we are joined by four amazing racers, really a tale of two halves, if you will, as far as Rybon and Reckless Charlie. They are representing our Pink Puffs and going to try to conquer the beasts from the bracket from our last Lally Ho League in PK and Rex. So this is going to be quite a fierce battle on stream, and we'll get to see if we get some Pink Puff hype by the end of this one.
That would be very exciting to see. As a Pink Puff myself, I'm obviously rooting for the Puffs, but I know everyone's going to give us a good show tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And what's your thought on an early Rosa, especially on this flag set where C Maybe and Distinct 8 are on? I know I'd be overjoyed. I'm curious your thoughts.
I am never sad to see Rosa as my starting character. She's just so flexible. Whether you want her for DPS with a heroine robe and a bow, or you're actually using her as a white mage, it's just really nice to see Rosa early because you know your seed has a white mage, and that's just kind of a little bit of pressure off your shoulders. And now, see, maybe those choices can be limited. It's great to see Rosa.
Definitely agree with that. I'm also looking at these objectives. Two of them are static objectives, completing the Cave Bahamut, the value cave, if you will, and then the Ogopogo spot in the Masamune altar. But we have three boss hunts. We have Bahamut, we have Octomam, and then we have the worst of the three in Dr. Luggage, the king of dialogue himself. And oh hey, there's that Bahamut, so Baron Key, kind of desired, and Power Couple right off the bat. Wow.
Yeah, this is going to be, I'm sure our runners are really glad to see this start. It won't be long probably before they're hitting up Mount Ordeals to turn that Cecil into a paladin. And yeah, as you said, I mean, Octobam could be punchy from place to place. Bahamut's never really a threat unless he's extremely fast and you're anchored weirdly, but Dr. Luge just doesn't show up.
Through that. And now the starting item, we got a silent staff. That's not great. But Rosa can do a little bit of bonking with that, and maybe that will actually take our runners in different directions than normal for their looting. I would expect some Watery Pass and some Eblin Castle from our runners, but maybe we get something a little spicier with that starting silent staff.
Yeah, it's with that, it doesn't seem like much, but then when you turn up an early boss like the guards or maybe Asura or the Naga sisters, all of whom are flagged as mages, that silent stab does extra damage to mages, and it is an in-game weapon, so you might be surprised exactly how hard Rosa can bonk. Looks like Rex and Reckless Charlie both heading for Eblin, Rybon and PK going for the Watery Pass, getting their free character in a Palom here.
Yeah, I mean, of Distinct 8, if you're telling me that those three characters at all are available anywhere in the seed, I'm very happy. The fact that they're your first three characters, that's pretty amazing for C Maybe Distinct 8. I cannot explain how valuable that is to have those three right off the get-go.
I mean, at this point, who else do you need? Everyone else is just kind of filling in for flavor and extra utility. You've got Cecil, who's a great tank and also a great damage dealer if you can find those holy swords. Rosa is extremely flexible. Once Palom's online, he's going to bring the pain. So this is a really good party to have this early.
Definitely agree. And our runners have found things like black belts, ice brands, tiaras, a lot of good gear coming out of Eblin. A couple decent pieces from Watery Pass, but not as good, as we see some D-Lunars in the waterfall. But our runners are making good use of their looting so far.
Yeah, they are all over the place. And here is another Rosa and Damsian. I believe dupes are off tonight. Is that correct?
That is correct. No dupes. So of that distinct eight with that C maybe, to your point, these might be the only three characters that our runners will see, and they also might be the only three they need.
Yeah, I'd take these three to Zeromus or down a hooker after a few more levels and maybe some more looting somewhere.
Yeah, definitely agree. And with T Pro and S Pro on, as far as our treasure settings and our shop settings, runners will probably not find the best loot, which is why we saw everyone prioritizing Eblin Castle and Watery Pass. For you, Stoppable Force, where's your next kind of loot location other than those high valued spots? Do you have anything else in mind that you like to loot with these types of treasure settings?
After clearing out those two, I'm honestly probably not looting a whole lot more on the world right away, unless I can get into one of those spots that has high value treasure. For example, if there had been a boss that we needed to clear at the waterfall, I would have definitely picked up any extra chests in there. The waterfall and Mist Cave as places that our runners don't go have absurdly good treasure rarity curves on these difficulties.
Yeah, and speaking of absurdly good things, Kane early on will really help this party. I definitely think that most of our runners, and we saw PK opt out of this, but I think most of our runners are going to try to get this Kane. Even though Golbez is here, Kane is just such a great character. The punish here is if there's a free Kane somewhere else.
Yeah, PK appears to be shooting for that by going to Mysidia and instead finding Cecil and Sid.
I mean, Sid is a great early game beater. Even if he just comes with a wooden hammer, hopefully he doesn't come with bows, but a wooden hammer does work because he starts at level 20 and he has a lot of strength right off the bat.
Yeah, I will never turn down a Sid, especially in some of our other flag sets, like with Sea Hero. But even in a regular flag set, Sid early on is a pile of hit points and strength, and later on you can transition into throwing potions or being your agility anchor.
Absolutely agree with that. And it looks like Kane starting out with a hand axe. That's not exactly what you want to see, but Rybon likely going to be our first runner to get this Kane, assuming Kane can actually hit from the back row at level 10. And there he goes.
There he goes. Looks like he found a fire sword for him there, so a step up from the hand axe.
Yeah, hand axe, even on Sid, is only going to do between 110 and 170 damage. And I wish I didn't know that damage range, but boy, do I have a seed for anyone who wants to struggle with their lives in free enterprise.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do with the hand axe most of these seeds is find an edge and throw it away.
Yeah, it'll do about 700 damage when you dart it. PK picking up fire armor. That's actually quite nice, even with Cell Quarter on for our shops here. That's quite a decent bit of change there for PK to do some shopping with. Looks like Rybon going to be close behind, while Rex is getting his Cane, and Reckless Charlie close behind Rex as well.
And it looks like our character on Ordeals tonight is Iridia, and found a wizard robe in a chest there. Not a common chest since it's a little out of the way, but really nice for that Rosa, who's just racking up that white mage gear already. Looks like PK has found an Earth Hammer and Dragoon armor for Sid, so his Sid is going to be very useful for the first, right up until the mid-game, probably.
Yeah, that Sid is going to be a great way for him to get through Ordeals. It'll be a great way for him to get through Baron Inn. Pretty much all of the early game can be soloed by this Sid with just that Earth Hammer. And it looks like Rex was able to get Kane in the air, and then Kane decided to come down too soon and does dodge the Demolish, though. So we'll be able to get a Star Veil up and take a lot of the risk out of this fight. So well done by Rex to pull that off.
Yeah, sometimes Kane just really wants to get back in the fight, and he really shouldn't yet. Alright, looks like Reckless Charlie really doing our first divergence here, checking out the Antlion Cave.
Yeah, it looks like Reckless Charlie doing Antlion Cave and PK giving us a peek at Evil Wall in the least punchy location in the game. You love to see that as a runner. And PK also opting to make sure his Rydia is on the ground. Why is that stoppable force?
It appears PK is already settled on his agility anchor for the rest of the game, probably. Since this was Square's first attempt at programming an active time battle system, it's a little unusual compared to others, and the speed everyone else moves in battle is dictated by the agility of your agility anchor, which in the vanilla game is usually Cecil, so nobody noticed anything because Cecil's with you the whole time. But in Free Enterprise, we can play around with that, and it usually goes by whoever's in your center slot or whoever's your hero on certain flag sets. This Rydia is very slow, and if you keep that Rydia at level 1 with her, 4 agility, I think, she will make the rest of your party very fast later in the game.
Yep, absolutely agree. Rydia makes a fantastic anchor. Even if you find something like a Leviathan orb, you have to decide, do I want to ruin my agility to get her Leviathan? And with a Quack Kid on the team already, I think this Rydia is destined for a very long but well-deserved nap.
Yeah, she's very young. We're just going to let her take a rest while we wander the world fighting monsters and saving it from a weird fire thing in the moon. Here's Antlion in the back attack spot, taking a break from his usual vacation spot on the moon to surprise our party over in the Antlion Cave. Reckless Charlie fighting the CPU. Not a bad fight here. CPU's not extremely fast here, although his party may have some issues with the damage output to take it down.
Yeah, not having Kane really hurts for this fight, and also having Rosa in the middle and with the silent staff instead of bow and arrow means she can't aim, so you have to resort to the silent staff. Rosa is actually Reckless Charlie's primary DPS right now, which is fine, but kinda hurts a little when we see some other runners like Rex Banner already has a Zeus Gauntlet, Black Belt, Blizzard Spear Cane. The damage that cane is going to do early on is going to put everyone else to shame who is on Restream right now. So kudos to Rex for getting all of that gear and getting everything situated already.
Yeah, Rex has assembled a stellar set of gear for his cane. See, Rabon found a tiara, which I missed some of the others maybe getting in Eblin. That's going to be great if he decides to keep his Rydia online instead of turning her into a paperweight. But she's level 1, so probably not.
Yeah, it looks like PK is still very dedicated to getting this Cecil online and getting through Mount Ordeals. I wonder if part of that is also that there's 3 bosses up here, and everyone's going to do it at some point.
Yeah, considering we're looking at, I'm guessing free key items are off for this. I don't know that for certain. We probably would have seen a check of that by now if they weren't. But so that's up to 4 bosses that we're hunting for, and Ordeals has 3 of them. So it's a great place to hit when you're looking for a boss hunt like this.
Definitely. And speaking of places you can find bosses, oh baby, we might have a hook route. You'll love to see it.
Well, our runner's probably glad that they're not having to tackle it with 2 to 3 undergeared characters.
Yeah, definitely a good thing for our runners that they're going to have, in most cases, something like a Cecil, a Kane, a Palom, a lot of good characters to approach a hook route with. It looks like we also have a Sand Ruby from the Fagul defense check, and just a crystal ring, but actually phenomenal for cover strats for Cecil on PK's side for getting through ordeals.
Yeah, I'm never sad to see the crystal ring. It's and up here it looks like Rybon is taking a trap chest in Eblin, but it does not appear to be going too well.
Well, it looks like Sid is taking a trap.
Sid is just doing 1 damage at a time.
And everybody else just happens to be there. They wanted to join Rydia with nap time. Sid is a very energetic engineer. The rest of the party is just exhausted from their travel so far.
Sid is very spry for an older guy. He says, "I've got this. I've got little quakes. I'll handle it."
It's like, Palom, you know Quake? Let me show you how. But Rybon, at least through all of the small skeletons, maybe can get somebody else up to get this XP, or maybe just fishing. That is not good though. Sid getting put to
No.
sleep, and those sleeps last forever.
Yeah, this isn't like the other games where a punch to the face will wake you up from sleep. Sid is going to take a long nap here while the stale really pings him for one. Not dangerous. Rybon will probably be able to handle this when Sid wakes up, but he's losing time here doing this. Hopefully, I imagine hoping that the loot that he gets out of it is worth the wait here.
Definitely. You hope he's rewarded with, some sort of big Cecil sword or an Avenger, even a Dragoon Spear or a White Spear, to really, give some value back, because this Sid is just continuing to nap.
Rybon apparently decided discretion was the better part of valor and resets out of it.
Just before he resets, Sid woke up.
Oh no. See, though, with I would worry that with Sid at probably at ATB 0 when he wakes up, that he would just go right back to sleep due to the way status effects seem to work in this game.
Definitely a possibility. So it looks like we have Rex and Rybon heading down to take on the CPU. PK off to Fabul, already having completed ordeals, so our first runner to get through ordeals. And it looks like Reckless Charlie doing some party reorganization, and he is done with Antlion, has his hook, and is going to be progressing to other checks from here. So I would say right now a very early lead, but certainly not an unsurmountable one for PK.
No, definitely not. I believe Reckless Charlie is on ordeals and is learning his Sylph Orb, so he may actually be planning to keep his Rydia up, and if the Sylph Glitch is on, she could be a pretty potent healer and damage dealer, letting Rosa take over as DPS or even a secondary healer.
I mean, I know a lot of chat likes to let Rydia hit things, and maybe that's going to be Sylph that hits things instead of technically being Rydia with a Dragon Whip or something like that.
This chat does love letting Rydia hit things, and I mean, maybe they'll have that to look forward to in our fall tournament, because Rydia is ready to play in that. But today, most of our runners appear to have opted to keep her merely to set their agility later.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where emergency healing, emergency situations on the hook route, you can possibly bring Rydia back up, have her use Sylph and things like that. It's just not necessary yet with this team, I don't think. And our restreamer, Ascorium, pointing something out there. Rybon gets you Cecil. I think that's actually a smart play, because Cecil's pretty much dead weight until you clear ordeals. So this way you get to have other functional characters. Because C-Buy is not on as far as the character set, you can go back to the Tower of Wishes and pick up Cecil once he's online. So I actually like this play from Rybon. Get rid of Cecil, go pick him up later. He's not an integral part of getting through ordeals or through the overworld until he's a paladin.
Yeah, all he is on the way up this, unless you run into something that can be damaged or instantly killed with one of the swoon procs from his Deathbringer, which I have seen floating around in a few of these inventories. He's kind of dead weight coming up this hill. So if you can just tell him, hey, hang out in Basidia, we'll come get you once you've overcome your dark side, then that's really smart on Rybon's part.
And it looks like, we saw Rex sell his Sylph Summon. We saw Reckless Charlie get through part of ordeals there and kept his Rydia alive. So one small piece of divergence. Rybon intentionally or unintentionally had Rydia live through a fight. Reckless Charlie was very intentional, having a Tiara, especially to go with that Sylph. That's going to be a high-powered little kid.
Yeah, I think he's hoping to have two black mages here in Rydia and Palom to help carry him through, and then to help carry Cecil, or at least to help carry Cecil up Mount Ordeals. Rex Banner checking out the hook route here. We'll be coming up on another character, and we'll get to see who's in that Rubicon spot. Looks like it's just a replacement Sid, but there's our Octoman. There's that fifth objective. It'll be hanging out in the Rubicon spot in the Tower of Babel.
And honestly, you just put a crystal ring on Cecil, you let him play cover tank, and you just beat on Octoman until it's super slow. That is a completely free hook route by virtue of cover strat Cecil. So very nice for our runners once they all see that is Octoman on the hook route.
Yeah, now barring something really nasty in the King Queen Evelyn spot, that's actually a really nice hook route.
It looks like Reckless Charlie going to battle with Antlion. Looks like Rybon trying to make up some of that time from the Staleman and Soldier chest, also on ordeals now. And it'll be interesting to see if he goes back for that Cecil or not now that he's getting into this Antlion fight. PK has faded Antlion Cave as long as he can, staying true to his own personal means. And Rex is playing around on the hook route, doing some looting now after discovering a duplicate Sid and also that Octoman.
One thing I didn't notice is that Rex has faded ordeals, so this was just a trip for the character in the shopping net. His Cecil is still a Dark Knight, it looks like. And yeah, PK, I guess, finally had to go to Antlion. When you have a reputation, you have to live up to it. Our restreamer Ascorian pointing out that no one has checked Baron in yet, and that could be the Magma Key. Which would make this an easier route underground, although they will need to come back for that Octoman eventually.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as that being concerned, even if it is a Magma Key, you're still pretty much obligated to do the hook route anyway. It is required 4 of 5, but if you give me the option of doing the hook route versus maybe doing both Value Cave and the Musamane altar, or having to find another boss versus one I know where it is, you're hard-pressed to get away from that Octoman objective, Magma Key or not.
Yeah, it would really only be good to have that in your back pocket if there's something that you just can't get through in the King Queen Evelyn spot. Esco attempting to will a Dark Knight Cecil into being in the King Queen Evelyn spot. How much would those Dark Waves hit for there?
We'll just say 600, so enough that it's very painful. Sid actually becomes the MVP of that fight, and also kind of Cecil is the backup MVP. Realistically, a single tier 3 can get you through that with enough levels, but you have to be well set up for agility, and you have to understand your turn order and when to queue things up. So I can make it sound as easy as you'd like me to, but in practice it's far more difficult. There's another objective though. That is Dr. Luge just hanging out. Not a lot of talking if our runners are fast enough.
Oh, no, definitely
there's
not.
no dialogue.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see Dr. Luge not even get a word in edgewise.
Well,
I spoke too soon. There we go. Not too much hit point. Not too much in the way of hit points at that location, since they're splitting a little HP that spot has 3 ways.
and our researcher Ascorian pointing out that's all of our bosses that are now known. Bahamut being the opening boss in Baron Castle. Octoman on the hook route. Dr. Luge sitting here just kind of running around the Baron Inn. That's all the bosses. And PK finding out something interesting, that the Mylon form of Elements, not in fact undead, does actually get healed by curatives, because Elements is completely and utterly broken.
Elements is so strange. But Elements is also down now, and the Luca key is our key item out of Baron Inn. So barring a cheeky demist in the Maga Sister spot, it looks like we're looking at a hook route guaranteed.
Have we peaked Mist Cave at all? I know I saw Waterfall. Did anyone peak Mist Cave?
I don't think so. Kevin Tunes in chat asks, where was Bahamut? Bahamut is in the Baigan spot in Baron Castle. He handed our runners their starting item. So no one, I don't think anyone yet has all 3 pieces of information on these bosses, but we know that all 3 of them are around. Chat saying Mist Cave is the guard fight. PK checked it, so there you go.
Got it. Well, now we know. So yeah, unless it is that Magus Sisters D-Mist that you're calling for. Hook route it is, and honestly, again, with it being Octomam, it's not that bad a fight, so I don't think our runners are going to be looking to do super cheeky things to avoid that.
No, I don't think so. They'll just, everybody will gather their resources up here on the overworld. PK finding silkwebs, which will be nice later for the Zeromus fight and some other fights. Everybody just gather up their resources and then head down that hook route. Make their way through the King Queen Evelyn spot, and then let Cecil get tentacled in the face.
Yeah, repeatedly. But again, with that crystal ring from Ordeals, it's kind of the perfect cover strat starter kit. And it'll be interesting, though, on this hook route to see if anyone takes the Evelyn Castle chests, which, as I say it looks like PK may be going in to do that now for some levels, either on Cecil or Quack Kid, or some combination of both.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have Quake online, just in case you run into something multi-target down there, like the Cowbrain Adults.
Or Dark Imps.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's
very weird.
Extremely punchy in that spot. Yeah, Cecil with a fire sword taking care of some of these skulls. I believe the Earth Hammer is probably still on Sid, which inexplicably does fire damage, so also good for swinging on these undead.
Yeah, I know PK is hoping that Rydia can off herself here, and looks like he may end up equipping a fire rod to do that, a flame rod to do that, and just cast fire on herself. But looks like he's just going to have Rosa go to town there. We'll have to get this Palom back up to get some XP. Meanwhile, both Rybon and Reckless Charlie now through Baron Inn.
Yep, hanging onto their Luca keys. Got that 4th objective lit up, and just doing some more shopping now. Seeing mute bells and exits in the Baron item shop. Mute bells very handy for some fights later, including a grind. Exits just really nice, since the only negative thing I can really say about Rosa as our starting white mage is she does not get exit until you leave the Tower of Zot. So until you level Cecil up to get it, those exit items will be your only source.
Yeah, and we see already the power that Cecil brings to this team for PK, as opposed to when Rybon tried this Staleman fight, is Cecil here taking 1 damage, but also covering everyone else. And speaking of exit, there's exit on Cecil, so problem solved.
Yep, and his Palom also gets virus, and that was a Dragoon Spear out of that chest, although I don't believe PK took Kane. I think I saw earlier that he was the only one who didn't. Yeah, yes, he does not have a cane.
He might not have a cane right now, but that Dragoon Spear makes me consider seeing if I would try to pick up a cane. Maybe not now, because it ends up being Golbez, but long term, that's quite a nice pickup.
Yeah, Squarian pointing out that PK has never checked Hobbs, so maybe the new meme is PK fading Hobbs for the entire season.
Well, I mean, Hobbs is not necessary, Kane is not necessary, it becomes nice to have, but PK probably looking at this kind of through the same lens that we did early on was, I have Cecil, I have Rosa, I have Palom. What more do I need right now?
Yeah, the rest of this, now he's got his agility anchor too, so really that 5th slot is just kind of there. Sid's nice for now. If he finds something nicer later, he can replace the Sid. Yeah, going for maximum XP on this Mad Ogre chest with life glitches. Meanwhile, Rex Banner, now the 4th person, taking on Dr. Luge in the Baron Inn.
Yeah, and Reckless Charlie found something to make this Magus Sisters fight a lot easier. He found mute arrows, and with the Magus Sisters obviously being mages, those mute arrows deal a ton of bonus damage. So Rose's aim command there hit the middle sister for over 700, and we have not located a good bow, so that is just purely the power of exploiting weaknesses.
It is true. Question from the chat on why PK is trying to provide those Mad Ogres. That is a little weird. Do you have any idea what that is, possible?
Yeah, I think that's called cheating. So what's actually happening there is enemies have a vitality stat in this game, just like your characters do. That vitality stat for enemies, however, is exactly 0. So what happens when you use a life potion on them is it tries to bring them back to life. The problem with that is if you have 0 vitality, you just simply die again. It's also the same reason why you can't revive someone who is on 0 agility. They basically just eat the life potion and stay on the ground. What that does, though, when you use that life potion, the game treats it as a second kill, and so you get double the XP from it, which in this case is going to give PK 5 ogres for the price of 3. It'll give him 4 black cats for the price of 2. Basically, those life potions are being converted straight into XP, which is pretty good considering life potions cost, what, 150 apiece?
150 apiece is a small price to pay for some extra experience here. And we're seeing it pay off here. His Rosa has Blink, his Palom has Quake, his Cecil has Levels, and a Ninja Hat. What more? I think PK is definitely well prepared to go down this hook route now.
Well, an Elven Bow also is going to make PK very happy. That's quite a nice piece of gear for that Rosa.
Yeah, any boss or enemy flagged as a mage now is going to be in a serious world of hurt.
Yeah, and also if he wants to keep hunting trap chests, even the Mad Ogres on the hook route, they will be able to be one-shot most likely by Rosa now with that Elven Bow.
Since they are oddly flagged as both giants, which makes sense, and mages, even though the only spell they seem to know is Punch.
Well, they are supposed to know Berserk, but they don't.
Aww.
For reasons unbeknownst to me.
They seem to be Berserk. And they always seem to know exactly who to punch when I'm fighting them, but, that may be a personal issue.
Yeah, and it looks like Rex doing some shopping. Charlie, I believe, our last runner to find out who is in this cave. And PK, I guess he's fought all 3 trap chests already, but just looking for loot now. Does pick up that Zeus gauntlet that everyone else got. So he's going to be pretty mighty. It'll be interesting to see, though, with our other runners, someone like Rybon, for example, who's on this hook route now. Is he going to dip out of this hook route, or is he just going to take it on at substantially lower levels than PK has now?
Yeah, diving underground at these low levels is risky. I mean, you really don't want to ever be forced to come back out of Lower Babel once you're in there, because it's just a big time loss walking back out. But if you can handle the bosses down there at a lower level, then that's the kind of speedy tactics that can get you a real solid lead here.
And it looks like we do see Rybon at least charging down. Maybe it's just for the Mad Ogres? Well, he's equipping a Rune Axe on Sid, so that tells me that he is hunting for some ogres.
And found them.
Finds them.
They were nice enough to be hanging out near the door.
Looks like cabins in that Eblin shop as well. I think I missed that from our first couple runners. Those are really nice to have. And not too much in the armor shop. Honestly, not much in the weapon shop. A mute knife is nice, but there's a rune axe floating around as well. So I guess the best, point of service for that mute knife is kind of on Palom right now to give him that wisdom boost.
Yeah, I've seen a couple runners pick up the mute knife, and it's not too bad, but there's also, like you said, the rune axe, there's some mute arrows. PK opting to pick up a knife as well. Really going to put the hurt on any mages he can find.
Yeah, may opt to go for the Mad Ogre chest as well, since he has quite a few easy ways to take them out. That's just going to expedite that check, and he's not hurting for cash since he's done the checks in Eblin. He's looted the entire castle, and he has quite a bit of good gear as a result of that. The Dragoon Spear, if nothing else, sells for a pretty penny.
Yeah, this looting strategy here tells me he may also be hunting for the Stale Men on purpose for more XP going down that hook route. PK is trying to secure every advantage he can on his way down there.
Definitely. I know that Rybon did the Stale Man chest. I did not catch what the item was. I assume if it was something really glorious, it would have been called out. Looks like a crystal armor, which, if nothing else, again, cover strat Cecil is online with a crystal hitting crystal armor.
Yeah, it's not always something that you want if you intend to, say, Berserk Cecil and let him do damage in an in-game fight, but if you're using it for these cover strats here, it is a fantastic find, and later it is quite a bit of gil. It's like a Masamune.
Very good hit and stick, but Sir not appearing in the seed is, well, not appearing in the seed so far.
Yeah, he has a bad habit of not appearing at the same time as his weapons, or vice versa.
And there's that rune axe and the rune ring for PK. Looks put the rune ring on the Palom, and it'll be interesting to see where that rune axe goes. Probably going to end up on Sid, but the crystal armor from the Mad Ogres, if PK chooses to go for that as well, will give him a super tanky Cecil, a nice Zerking Sid, Palom with Quake and Virus, and then Rosa is going to be well equipped as well. So very well armored, very well geared, and pretty decently leveled party for PK. But on the flip side of that, we have Rybon just charging down this hook route. I don't even see the sand ruby lit up on his tracker, so I wonder if he faded. I think that was from Fabul, right?
Yeah, that was the Fabul defense item. Probably hoping to fade Fabul until he can drop down to the Sylph Cave and discover that Young's in bed there and knock out the at least the first Sheila check and the defense of Fabul at the same time. Rybon giving us our look at the first boss too. And it looks like the King Queen Evelyn spot today is Mylon Z.
Yeah, Mylon Z will be basically free with any sort of undead resist, things like wizard hats. Those are a fantastic find. He's also going to be able to exploit any sort of flying weakness, so things like arrows and bows. That flame spear he has for Kane, or those 3 flame spears, I should say, one of them will come in handy here. Cecil taking a whopping 1 damage from Mylon Z, so he punched not so hard on Cecil, and he did cover Rosa. Also the Earth Hammer on Sid. Very nice fight for our runners to find as far as this spot is concerned.
Yeah, really the only... See, now we can see how hard this punches on people that aren't Cecil with an 1100 swing on Kane, and I believe I saw Palom started the fight by getting punched for 1400 damage or so. But, it's already over with.
Yeah, and this is one of the things about Cecil in particular that I love cover strats with him. I think he's so phenomenal, even without his big hit and sticks. When you can take a boss that's dealing 1100 damage to everyone else and 1 to Cecil, that tells you there's something about that character that might be pretty broken.
Yeah, Rybon definitely not. Rybon not even saving between these 2 fights, just opting to dive straight into the Octomam fight. Knows he can handle it. Has Cecil covering. Berserking. I do not see Berserking Sid here to get those first few hits on Octomam and knock its speed down. And after that, it just gets slower and less punchy.
Yeah, I am surprised a little bit to see Kane jump there, because jump takes so long to get going. Surprised we didn't just see him kind of queue a regular attack, but it's one of those where he's going to get Zerk soon anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Just a slight optimization that normally against bosses like Octomam or Wyvern, things that are super speedy, you typically want to end up in a situation where everyone is taking as many actions as possible in order to just get the enemy slowed down or buffer the queue, anything like that, where you can just help yourself do more with the turns that you're allotted.
You have to wonder if Rybon wasn't just thinking maybe keep Kane out of the way during this initial flurry of punches, and then once he had a Berserker online, then he can bring his Kane in to assist.
Definitely could be what was going through his head as well. Because that Octomam, as it showed, one-shot Palom, and did not leave much in Palom's place.
Yeah, and PK right behind him now, heading down to take the fights. Reckless Charlie, also descending the Tower of Babel, will be not too far behind them, and Rex Banner in the in Cave Evelyn fighting the Staleman chest. So our runners are all kind of in a line here.
Yeah, I mean, that generally happens on hook routes. You just kind of get funneled because everyone's going to do more or less everything they can to avoid the hook route. And you end up in a situation like this where everyone's going to be within a couple minutes of each other getting through this. Rybon probably going to be our first runner through. PK shortly behind. I would imagine Rex will be third, and probably Reckless Charlie just behind Rex after that. It'll be interesting to see from Reckless Charlie's perspective what he does with agility, because Rybon is using Sid as an anchor. We'll see if Charlie opts to go with Sid as an anchor or does something else, because he's given that Rydia levels.
Yeah, his Sid appears to be in the center and staying there, so maybe that's the strategy he's doing. PK, as we saw with the extra levels and the extra gear that he scrounged up for his characters, just manhandling that Mylon Z fight, and now he's straight into Octomam as well.
And shoutouts to Rosa on Rybon's side. She had a crit for 808 damage on Octomam, which is higher than anything I've seen out of Kane so far.
Sometimes she's the real DPS in the power couple. Got Octomam down to one lonely tentacle here now. It's as slow as it can be, just trying to whittle away those last hit points. It's got a lot of health here, but it's moving very slowly now. And there it goes.
Through.
Rybon, our first runner underground at about 39 minutes.
Yeah, not bad at all. Our runners were able to get through everything, get some decent levels, some decent gear. It's a very nice party for a distinct 8 with the C maybe, finding, even with the free characters on, you normally don't get, 6 viable options. We haven't seen, the Tellas, the Edwards of the world show up. So our runners have been fairly blessed with the early character selection, some very high quality options for them.
Yeah, this is definitely not a so-called reject % seed. Rybon, unfortunately, not going to give us a peek at who the boss is on the top of tower. But maybe going back to see who the boss is on the top of tower. I spoke too soon.
Good thing he did. That is our good friend, Derek Mist, up on top of the tower. So very good thing that Rybon did go back to peek that, because that might incentivize a keyless tower dive, because suddenly that becomes 2 checks instead of 1.
Yeah, that puts a lot more incentive now on the keyless tower play. And in a lot of other seeds, I don't know about you, one of my earlier stops would be the Dwarf Castle, but if I was hurting for a character choice. But with these parties, I think maybe our runners would prioritize other places in the underground first.
I think I would prioritize my freebies with this particular setup, because you know where all your bosses are. So if you find Darkness Crystal as well, it's only 4 out of 5. Darkness Crystal is technically go mode. So if you can pick that up from a freebie in the Fame Arch, if you can pick it up from Sheila 1, even with Demist on the top of tower, and even with the Warp Glitch on for Dwarf Castle, I still think you have to prioritize your freebies.
Yeah, and there's quite a few down here. There'll be the Fame Arch chest, although not the Fame Arch bosses tonight, with the summon spots turned off for key item shuffling. And talking to Yang to set up Sheila 1. So there are a number of opportunities down here. Rybon visiting Tomra, doing a little shopping. Nothing spectacular in the item shop. Let's see if he talks to the job dwarf. A personal service administrator? Is that what I saw?
I think it was personal service supervisor, which I'm not certain what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
I don't know what personal service is.
A personal service supervisor? I don't know. But that job dwarf is doing it, so good for them.
And looks like PK also threw the hook route, just under 42 minutes. So a couple minutes separating Rybon and PK, but PK is up a Fabul defense check. So very small separation. Again, our runners are extremely close together at this point, though. Charlie is on to that Octomam fight, has some lit arrows for that Sid, doing some good damage there. and Rex Banner on his way through this Mylon Z as it goes through his Rosa.
Yeah, everyone making their way through the funnel in quick order. PK healing up here at Dwarf Castle, maybe thinking to hit that check early instead of doing his freebies right away, since he does have probably the most leveled and geared party right now. Rybon on the way down to the Fey March, hopefully going to give us a peek at that free chest soon.
Yeah, I think both are very viable because Dwarf, it's a character check, it's good XP, it's 2 key item checks. And in this case, being Asura, it's going to explode. Rybon picking up a spoon, which is basically nothing for this party. You can't dart it, you can't equip it, and no best boy in sight.
Well, I guess you can sell it, or you can give it to the big chocobo, which seems to be the new favorite thing to do with items that are no good for your seed.
Yeah,
I found an Asura here in the first spot in Dwarf Castle, it looks like.
I'm still waiting to find a use for whistle strats. If someone figures that out, let me know.
Storing your ninja swords in hopes that maybe an edge will show up in your seed? Probably not. I don't think we'll be hitting the whistle meta anytime soon.
Yeah.
Ooh,
maybe we'll get Forge and you'll see a bunch of apples show up and then you just sell them all and buy apples.
Looks like Rybon deciding to take at least one of these fights here in the Fey March just because it's free. King Queen Evelyn in the Asura spot today.
And possibly the other one is free as well. We don't know which blue robe that is. So this could be the freest of Fey Marches. Granted, Water Hag is air quotes free at that spot. Because Cecil might be a super tank, but Leviathan spots the punchiest in the game. So even Cecil is not going to be able to tank too many hits from that. Maybe not even one.
Yeah, if that's Water Hag, he's going to take a few people down with him, but we'll go down easy. But if it's Water Hag, that means we open up the potential for my favorite alt gauntlet, which is the alt gauntlet at the Ogopogo spot.
Well, the funny part about that would be the alt gauntlet at the Ogopogo spot, gating the Baron key, making it hard required, because that's where Bahamut would be.
Perfect. Let's keep our fingers crossed then.
Not that I'm wishing evil on our runners. That would be super rude.
We would never. After all, they're working so hard to put on a good show for us tonight, it would be a shame to put extremely evil obstacles in their path.
Definitely true. And our runners, speaking of them, Rybon, Rex Banner, PK, and Reckless Charlie, if you haven't already, give them all follows. They're all fantastic runners. Again, 2 of them in the Pink Puff League. 2 of them established veterans of the tournament scene at this point. All of them well worth a watch. Lots of daytime streams to help you through your workday, lots of evening streams and ladder races, and I'm sure tons of ZZ4 coming up. And while we're shouting people out, Esco, amazing job as always on Restream. Twisted Flax, great job pressing and not eating the buttons. And Unstoppable Force, always a pleasure to do this with you.
Yeah, same to you. It's always fantastic to do these streams. And yeah, shout out to Twisted Flax. It is not easy to watch 4 different people's streams at once and keep track of what's going on. Yeah, it takes a lot of concentration.
Yeah, I am not not one to be like, oh, hey, I'd rather be doing that than doing comms. No, I would rather talk about this than have to track it. That's too much work. Well, I'm not built for that.
And we don't let you near the buttons anymore anyway. Ooh. There's the Water Hag. This is a free march tonight. It is not so free, in air quotes.
That was 1,400 to a back row Cecil that's well geared. Yeah, air quotes, free. Dwarfax from the free warp glitch for PK. I missed the actual dwarf reward. Oh, that's because he didn't get it yet. That would explain why.
Is that a lunar staff, I believe?
Wow. Yeah, that is underwhelming at best for PK. He got some decent experience out of it for his party, but yikes.
Yeah, might have been hoping to find someone a little more proactive for endgame than that Sid, and instead just had another duplicate character, and yeah, and then a lunar staff.
And Rybon picking up some XP and some items as well. He got a strength ring from the King Queen Eblin, and he got a rune axe from the Water Hag to go with roughly 50,000 XP. So not too bad to pick up a couple pieces of gear and some good levels. We'll see where Rybon goes from here.
Looks like Rybon will be heading to Dwarf Castle as well, going to heal up in their back basement out of their pot of healing, and then probably take on the fights up front as well.
And we saw something very interesting from Rex there. I don't know if he caught this or if a lot of chat caught this. He took a single fight outside of Dwarf Castle to get exactly enough levels on Rydia for Warp before coming in here.
I did see that, and that was very heads up, making sure he has the Warp spell to do the Warp glitch.
Yeah, not going to pay off for him because we know that the Warp glitch is bunk, but super heads up because that's the type of thing that, you know, even with the Luca key in hand, you don't really need to go down there for anything. Our runners know where Demist is. Our runners know where all three bosses are. There's no reason to have to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, you don't want to have to go to Luca Cave with this setup and with this information. You want to avoid Luca Cave. It's just a time sink. Having the armadillo was interesting. I looked up and was not sure what was happening until I saw the warp at the end of that fight.
And it looks like PK going to do some more looting on the way down here through the Fey March. May even take on the trap chest with Quake on the Kid, as Ascorian, our restreamer, is pointing out. So that's another potential stab at a good sword for Cecil or some other good gear in general for his characters. We know that PK has done a lot of ancillary looting and trap chests and things like that, but he's making great progress through the seed and picking up a lot of really good gear as a result.
Yeah, he's looting, but he's not letting it slow him down. It's all productive looting. He's moving right along. He's getting all the same checks done as everyone else. It's really nice. And if he wants to take on this trap chest, that's another potential really good piece of loot for his party. I'll be curious to see if anyone else opts to take on the Frame March bosses once they see them.
I think anyone who checks it will take on King Queen Eblin. Whether or not they take on Water Hag is another story.
Yeah, King Queen Eblin is it's basically free XP. It's just sitting there waiting for you. PK did in fact take on that trap chest, has Quake down the warrior chest, gaining another couple levels on his Palom, start to see those tier 3 elemental spells flowing in. And gets another Zeus Gauntlet.
Not bad.
You'll love to see it.
If you're not going to find hidden sticks, it's good to find strength boosting gear.
Yeah, just better gauntlets to hold the hidden sticks you have with.
And looks like Rex opting to use his Grimoire on the Mylon and Friends fight, and I believe that was a Bahamut he got.
Excellent value. You hate when you get a chocobo out of there, but that Bahamut just saved him a lot of time clearing that fight. Hopefully Rex remembering to do the warp glitch after getting his warp spell. Yeah, raising Rydia from the dead long enough to cast warp.
Now I am curious if Rex finds this to be a Zonk as well as the other check-in dwarf. Does he reset to the point where Rydia still stays a pristine anchor? Does he give back the dwarf XP? Does he give back the 2 checks? That'll be interesting to see. Or does he just exit on out? And it looks like he's going to keep Rydia.
Yeah, maybe hoping that everyone else can just get far enough ahead of her that the few levels won't matter, or maybe still hoping to find a curse string somewhere else in the seed.
And it looks like PK may be opting to try to burn down King Queen Eblin, but then maybe thought the better of it.
Yeah, you always kind of want to hurry them along due to the script. If you can take out the king, the queen will just fade away herself on her next turn. But they've got a little more HP than he can deal right now, so apparently just opts to wait impatiently, judging by that cursor movement.
Absolutely. And Reckless Charlie, I'm not sure what he has for defense on that Cecil, but that Cecil took 150 damage from that Water Hag at the punchiest spot in the game. So again, not certain what he's got on that Cecil, but it's a lot of defensive gear.
Yeah, his Cecil is set up to tank everything. So this Water Hag actually is free for Charlie as opposed to air quotes free.
I do like the runner's decisions to do this. We have not and will not see sirens in shops, so squeezing this extra XP is quite a big deal for our runners. Squeezing the extra gear out of it really does set up nicely for the end game.
Yeah, with sirens unavailable and with Edge not showing up in this seed to, he may not be able to steal them anyway. Squeezing XP out of other fights where you can is a must, and seeing 2 free fights in the Feymarch is just really pleasant in terms of compressing the time needed to level. Chat pointing out that PK did not check his freebie in the Feymarch.
Yes.
Interesting decision.
A little bit surprising because you hope he just didn't forget about it. I've done this myself. You go down there and you're like, oh, my inventory's full. You know, I just did a trap chest. I need to offload some stuff. Let me sell some things. And you just get into that normal rotation because normally that comes after you loot and after you've taken care of that. But you don't want to hit the inventory boss, which he was going to if he picked up that particular chest. So I think what happened was he went to shop and just started that normal rotation.
Yeah, with shop, he saw the bosses and then exited out, maybe.
Yeah. And like I said, been there, done that.
3 of our runners at once going up the tower to take on D-Mist. Rybon the first up, PK right behind him, Rex gearing up and saving outside, back rowing that Kane before heading up there. So everybody hoping to get the double dip value out of D-Mist on top of Achilles Tower.
And I would expect we're going to see a little bit different strategy from PK here than maybe some of our other runners. I think what we're going to get on PK's side is on the second go around, the second Mist form, I think you're going to see PK go all in and start zerking people. His goal is going to be to, just before the second Mist phase starts, to have Zerk land on Cecil, because he's got this Cecil now geared up with a Zeus Gauntlet, a Black Belt, basically everything he can throw at this D-Mist. He's going to try to squeeze this out in 2 cycles instead of the 3 or 4 that our other runners may look to do. And this is something that I know PK in particular loves to do.
Yeah, and taking off that crystal armor, definitely a good sign of that. Normally it prevents Cecil from being berserked, but now it indicates that he's ready for that Cecil to go haywire with a hit and stick.
Yeah. It looks like we're getting viruses and quakes from all of our runners. Looks like Rex is opting to take on some of these eyeballs in Lower Babel because he has that Earthhammer Sid. So he's just gonna, go bop some of these for some cheeky trap chest checks and try to get some really good weapons and items out of this.
Yeah, Sid's hammer is especially good at taking apart machinery, as you would expect from an engineer, and getting a Bacchus wine, which isn't bad to find because you're not going to find them elsewhere, but not what you were hoping for out of a trap chest, I imagine.
I think with Rex's party, he's going to be pretty okay with that. He has at least 2 Zerkers that he's going to take endgame in Cecil and Kane, especially with that Dragoon Spear that he has. The Diamond Armor, definitely not as nice, but, he can still go and, do some cover strats with that and still Zerk with it. But looks like PK is opting for those Zerk strats with his team now to try to finish this in a second cycle.
Yep, Rybon through the fight, getting a rat tail, so that is progression with the hook. And of course, if he heads back to Village Mist and checks where Rydia's mother's corpse is, that will be a second key item. So this is more value than you usually get out of running the lower Babel without the tower key.
Yeah, definitely. That rat tail to turn in from the hook. Probably value between Demist and the hook. Also, Sheila 1 in play. As our tracker Twisted Flax is pointing out, a lot of free stuff to go through and take care of now. And I was a cycle off on PK. It looks like he's zerking now. Saved it for one extra round.
Yeah, he'll be through this before long then. That Cecil will definitely push out damage there. Yeah, swinging for 1100. That's more than I've seen out of that Sid so far.
And there is PK through that Demist while Rex is getting into the Demist fight. Rybon done with the Demist fight and on his way back up. Did you see Rybon set up Sheila 1 at all, or is he fading Sheila 1 for right now as well?
I didn't see it, but with this much action, I may have just missed it. Fading Sheila would be interesting since I assumed that he was fading for Bull Defense until he could set up Sheila 1. Maybe hoping to get the pan from the rat tail and just knock out all three at once, although that's a really niche plan.
Yeah, that would be incredible if the pan turned up from this rat tail that he's about to go turn in, and then get to single dip Fabul in what would otherwise be a very circuitous route to get there, and would often end up in double or triple dipping either Fabul or Sylph Cave.
Okay, Ascorian, our restreamer, correcting us. PK hasn't gone into Sylph, but Rybon has. Rybon turning into Rat Tail, finding the Darkness Crystal.
Well, that's go mode.
Alrighty.
So, yeah.
Yep. Rybon doesn't have to worry about that Bahamut in the Baron Bagged spot if he doesn't want to. He can just go raise the whale and take on two bosses. But probably going to stop and see what that Demist reward does first.
This is going to be an interesting test for our runners, though. What do they do for levels here? I know personally, I would be looking at something that a lot of people really, really hate. And that would be a less than 10 key item Mac Giant grind, which just makes a lot of people shudder when you utter those words. But that is what I'd be looking at here to get this party ready.
That does kind of, like, out of the options they have available to them, that seems to be what's on the table. They don't have the spellcasters who can cast weak that you would need for something like a D-Machine grind. They don't have sirens to set up something like warlocks or king ryus or even eggs in the underground. After that, you come to the Mac Giant. And, I mean, doing it with 6 key items, 7 if you have the Sand Ruby isn't ideal, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and I know that the equipment as far as weaponry just isn't there yet. I know that PK and Rex are absolutely happy to do low-level Zeromish strats. I don't know how much Rybon and Charlie are familiar with those, but those two runners, Rex and PK, if you give them decent damage, then you would be able to potentially see like Rosa with a Cure 3, maybe a Cure 4, and just do some low-level Zerker strats. It's a tough sell, though, because the weaponry has not been good except for Kane, and in PK's case, he doesn't even have that Kane. And to answer a question from chat, on S Pro, you will not locate sirens, hourglasses, coffins, Bacchus wine, or elixirs. And on the new beta version, once it comes out, Leviathan orbs either. Those will never be in S Pro gated shops. They would only be in the Kokol shop from the Forge.
Yeah, so our runners would have to hunt down the Adamant, since the Legend Sword seems to have come from Rydia's mother, and then go Forge, get an Excal for their trouble, and then just hope that Kokol's shop had the J item or items that they needed. That's a long shot and definitely out of the way.
Interesting from PK here. We are getting a Sylph cave trap chest grind, since he has this Palom who's able to do some work here at RA1 or Relative Agility 1, where because his Rydia is super slow and everyone else is fast enough, they are able to get their actions off and get through these trap chests without really any danger. The only potential scary encounters here are the two mobile chests or the two centipede chests, because there's not enough actors in the queue to buffer that quake getting off in time. But the ghost fights or the double mobile, double dark tree fights are super free and a great source of XP.
Yeah, looks like he might have just wanted to find that specific one. PK really doing kind of a grind early, grind often strategy, where he's not doing a dedicated grind at any point so much as just continuously doing things that get him amounts of XP throughout the seed, and that's really smart heads up play.
Yeah, definitely. And looks like we got our first peek at the Moon character, which was another Cecil. If only dupes could be on, I think that would have been 4 now, at least 3.
Several. Let's go with several.
But
and ordinarily you love to see that many Cecils, but it's getting hard to even equip one of them. You get multiples, and the gear's just going to look stranger and stranger on each one.
Definitely. And our runners, I'm sure, were hoping for either a Tela or an Edge on the Moon. That would have made them quite happy. You would have been able to D-Machine grind, you would have enabled Siren stealing. It's a little bit awkward with no viable grind right now. So I wonder if we'll see some random encounters get turned on. The floor that Rybon was just on, Lunar Subterranean Floor 4, a fairly common encounter there is the Double Gold Dragon, where with Kane and the Dragoon Spear, you could chew through them pretty easy by turning encounters on. You would just want to stop them with Palom. Requires a bit of a setup, but for some of our runners, that may be a viable option as well to get some levels.
Yeah, normally the safer way to do it would be to handle it with an hourglass, but again, we don't have the convenience of those J items around right now. So stopping with the Palom and letting Kane make quick work of them might be a good way to get some XP here.
Oh, Rex and soon to be PK with the pink tail. That's an X-Cal. That changes the game plan quite a bit.
Yeah, Rybon hitting up our first moon boss here, I believe. The Ribbon Room, finding a Dark Elf.
You know what's really good against Dark Elf?
A lot of things in his second form, but what did you have in mind?
An X-Cal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Elf's second form is weak to Holy, right?
It's not weak to the Holy spell, but all forms of it are weak to Holy weaponry. Oddly enough, for some reason with Dark Elf, the Holy spell deals damage on the first form, but the second form absorbs it. It's very curious, but both forms are weak to Holy weapons. So we'll call it a feature, not a bug.
You know, at the point where you run into Dark Elf in the game, that was probably never a consideration. So just an interesting byproduct that you run into here in a randomizer. It's also possible in the second half, I want to guess that Palom is not high enough to know weak yet, but that is another fun way to get rid of the second half of Dark Elf, just knock him down to single hit points.
Also true, because it loses the boss bit. But looks like PK on his way to the moon, and Rex Banner going to be close behind him. Reckless Charlie on his way up the tower, hunting the trap chest as well as some extra items, and will soon have his demist, which we know turns into darkness. So again, all 4 of our runners pretty much funneled through the same path. Not really a lot of divergence, just simply the nature of the seed. And that also means that some of these chains that are out there that are coming from the moon, wow, is there a lot to them. We're talking probably 4, 5, 6 items in a row.
Yeah, our runners have cleared most of the checks on the blue planet and have come away with a grand total of Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the key items. That means there's 9 of them still floating around somewhere. Things like, well, not the crystal, obviously. Things like the pass, things like the earth crystal. Your favorite objective, Twin Heart.
That's not even a real objective.
So there's a lot of value up here on the moon, but our runners don't really have a good reason to get led away unless one of these 2 spots that is an objective is just really nasty and they can turn out the Baron key from the other one.
Well, speaking of really nasty, I mean, PK, I have no doubts we'll get through this, but this is not great. It's going to be very time-consuming. Excal Cecil will definitely push through, and there won't be too much of an issue, but Rex having Kane here to pair with that Cecil, by getting her out of the tornado, he can go ahead and make full use of Palom here. PK is going to be able to do some damage through magic, but Rex will be able to do full damage should he choose to.
It'll be interesting to see which approach works. Cecil is still swinging for approximately 2,000 a pop, I believe I saw on... there's a 3,700 damage hit on PK's side, but Rex will be able to put the full power of the rest of his party to use, as opposed to PK's party having some problems making Rydia take a nap.
Well, Rydia was having problems making Rydia take a nap. But meanwhile, Rybon is through the lunar spot and gets an Excal of his own, so never punished. Also finding an Earth Crystal. So that's quite the pickup. Rybon being able to fade everything Sheila and really not being punished for it.
Yeah, and also picking up some decent XP off of the ribbon room. I mean, he doesn't have the 10 key item boost, but it's still a very rewarding spot to clear, originally being where the pair of D-Lunars were in the vanilla game.
Definitely. Now, something of note on Rybon's side, he's gearing the Cecil up to do a lot of damage, but he has left the crystal armor on. So I hope he doesn't do a possum special here and try to zerk a crystal armor wielding Cecil. Yeah, that's a good old-fashioned special of mine that I hate every time I do it.
Now I know who to blame when I do that. I have definitely done that before, and it's you love bringing him to Zeromus, you pop that Bacchus wine, the animation goes off, and nothing happens. And you kind of sit there and think, oh, crystal armor.
Yep. Oh, crystal armor indeed. PK, meanwhile, through Val, and Rex going to be fairly close behind. And yeah, so you have Val at Value Cave, and you have Baigen at the Masamune altar. Esco, why do you hate our runners? What did they do to you?
Esco did say earlier, hope that they get, and they want some evil. And Esco rolled evil. Baigen, normally not a boss, a little trouble when you fight him in the vanilla game, as I'm sure you know from your recent trip through that, but Baigen moving around to these other spots and picking up the stats of other tougher bosses can sometimes just make him a menace to deal with.
Yeah, Baigen, when you have Medio, and it only has 3,000 health, is not too bad. Baigen, when it has 37,000 health split 3 ways, far less timid, and Baigen goes punch and punches 3 times, and all of those punches hurt, and it's not a great time here or anywhere on the moon. Thankfully, Cecil is doing all of the best cover duties he can to keep this team alive for Rybon. And it is interesting to point out the routing here, that Rybon opted to fade Cave Bahamut, and without the pass in hand, he's going to have to go back down to do Cave Bahamut, then come back to the Lunar Core to get to Zeromus. So a very good catch by Chat. Chat smart as always, to point that out, that this is going to be a more circuitous route for Rybon than some of our other runners doing Cave Bahamut first.
Yeah, maybe possibly playing the odds that the pass is up here somewhere and hoping to find that and just that and the Baron key before having to take down 2 of these hard bosses. But because with that, he could finish one of these, return to Earth, go to Baron, fight Bahamut in the Bygone spot, and then take the pass store to Zeromus. But be a little more roundabout than just doing both of these. Especially when Bygone is recovering his arms and Rabon is now doing an unintentional arm grind.
Yeah, I wish the arms actually gave you something, but they don't.
PK finding all the most fun bosses. Here are the Dark Imps on the moon in a spot where they don't punch very hard.
Yeah, this is also a nice spot where you can do things like toad them, size them, and I think PK may have at least one, if not both of those queued up already. And looks like, yeah, we have a size coming out on Rosa. Meanwhile, Bygone is down on Rybon's side, so very well executed to get through that. Rybon will be our first runner to have that objective done, and oh my heavens, there is the pass. Wow. Galaxy brain.
So if he can find the Baron key before he clears Cave Bahamut, or if he can clear Cave Bahamut, then he can get to Zeromus from Troya instead. That may be where he's going if he's warping out.
Yeah, he may be opting just to hit this value cave now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The crystal will put him at 8. He's still not going to be at 10 key items, but he did pick up the Ribbon Room XP. So it's going to be very interesting. Maybe we do get some low-level stuff out of multiple runners on screen after all. Even with someone like PK taking on some extra fights here.
Yeah, maybe the others knowing that to beat some of these incredibly skilled runners that we have in our community, sometimes you have to make plays that seem a little wild, like low-level strats.
Yeah, I will say low-level strats are a lot easier when you have Excalibur.
A little bit.
So yeah, that's one of those things that it really eases your mind. And we do have all 4 runners now having defeated D-Mist. So Reckless Charlie will be going to the moon shortly as well. A little bit behind some of our other runners, but still putting on a heck of a performance. Reckless Charlie, by far the newest of our 4 runners on Restream, but showing you just how far Pink Puff has come, being an extremely new runner just a couple weeks ago. And to be able to not only have the chutzpah to volunteer to be on Restream, but to put on as great a show as he had, definitely commendable.
Yeah, shout out to the work that Asuka has done with setting up the Pink Puff Club, and with everyone else in the community who's helped with the curating these flag sets to take runners from new to learning the skills that they would need to be able to hang tough at this level. Fantastic job, Asuka. Fantastic job, Pink Puffs.
Yeah, and the Pink Puffs are going to get a very fun experience next week as their flags were posted actually during this race. So they are going to get to experience the beauty and the glory of a reject percent. And I know I am excited to watch them prevail over those flags and get to experience the joys of Edward, Rydia, Tella, Sid, Palom, Yang. None of your power couples, no Canes, no Foos. Gonna be a good time.
Oh, that'll be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to running that then.
You'll do great. Don't be intimidated. And I know that the dolls were mentioned earlier. It looks like PK has found them, and yeah, he's probably going to be quaking them.
Yeah, Quake definitely an option. If he didn't have the multi-target spells set up, then we could see something like a Toad on the back dolls to keep them from turning into Cabrina at all costs. But Apparently we're going to see a size on them instead. Now they're even tinier dolls. It's adorable. Rybon taking on his Valvalis fight up here. This fight is nasty, but all of our runners seem to be persevering and pushing through it, and that's really good to see. Reckless Charlie making his dip into Fabul here. Getting his item from Sheila 1. I believe this is this the Pigtail? Is this where this is coming from?
I don't know that he set up Sheila 1. I think he went to talk to Sheila, and another thing that, promise you, I've done that before too.
Yes. PK finding the pan, so if he really wanted to go back and wake up young, not worth it.
Knowing PK would lead to Baron Key, and he would fade it anyway, so it's a moot point.
PK's game plan here clearly being to just go down, fight this Masabune altar, and then do whatever he has to do to cover the little gap between that and being Zeromus ready.
Yeah, my only question for PK at this point is swag walk or no swag walk. He's going to get through Baigen. He's got more levels than anyone else on our restream. He is definitely more comfortable than maybe anyone but Rex on our restream at doing low level and kind of finicky strats with Zeromus. It'll be interesting to see once these runners all get to Zeromus what they opt to do. And it'll also be interesting to see who other than Rybon elects to make use of that pass. I don't think we'll see PK opt to use it. But with Rex's levels, if he opts not to grind, or with Rybon being now done with Value Cave, he almost certainly is going to use the pass. It's just going to be interesting to see how everything plays out, because I don't think this one is over, even though we have like Rybon technically the first runner who is Z ready. He's not as Z ready as someone like PK is going to be.
Yeah, he may have the crystal in his inventory, but PK has more levels and slightly more gear for his party. This race is still pretty close. It'll be interesting to see where Rybon goes here now that he's back on Earth. Going to see if he's going to jump straight through the pass door and take on Zeromus now, or if he has some kind of plan to gain some more experience.
I think he's going back for an anchor. First of all, I think that's very, very hot on his mind to make sure he gets somebody to balance out this party. And that somebody is going to be Rydia in place of Palom, it looks like. Going to keep a rune ring and a black shirt, so looks like that Rydia, though, going to end up playing the anchor game. 11 agility isn't great, but it's probably better than whatever Palom was at that point.
Yeah, checking his levels, checking his agility on his different characters. I think he had been using Sid with a dwarf axe up to this point, but
who also ended at 11 agility, oddly enough.
What are the odds? But yeah, picking up the correct airship if he's going to Troya. I think Rybon may be getting... I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I think Rybon may be getting ready to go straight to Zeromus.
This is gutsy. I'm here for it, because this is not going to be perfect agility. These are by no means perfect levels. We're going to need to see some nerfs here. But yeah, I think we are in fact getting ready to see Rybon go in high 30s, low 40s. His best character HP wise is going to be 2600, which is theoretically capable of dying to an unnerfed Big Bang. But looks like
you got it. Oh, maybe not.
Oh, treasury. I actually think this is very smart.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Yeah, treasury here, you can pick up a lot of good tier 6, tier 7 items in here, so I think this is very heads up.
Yeah, even pausing to do this and then going straight in there. This is a lot of moxie, and I like it. Val getting the pass, is saving the pass. Rex fighting Baigen, and Reckless Charlie looks like getting ready to head into Cape Bahamut to fight Val. So everybody kind of running along the same route. no one really super far behind anybody here. PK having to fight the inventory boss for his crystal.
Rybon, oh, that was a white shirt and a protect ring. That is huge for Rosa. So that'll be interesting to see. And PK not opting to swag walk. So my question is answered. There will be no swag walk from PK today.
No swag, just efficiency and safety. But I believe now we've got the walk going.
And PK walking down here indicates that he's extremely confident in this fight. If you're going to go through and not use the pass, it means you expect to do this the first try. It's quicker to walk down if you're taking one attempt. If you think you're going to wipe, you're looking at absolutely wanting to use the pass door. But I do think with this final equipping from Rybon, and with PK making his way down, after we did get to rate that treasury, I think we are going to see two different fights. And Stoppable Force, what do you think about the randomization of the boss? Is it just something that can appear anywhere, or is it only in a specific spot?
I tell you, you can't see it anywhere except this final fight, and I'm very glad. Can you imagine trying to go to the Baron Inn, pick up a character, and in that second spot out pops Aromas to Big Bang you? No one wants that. So instead, we leave him where he is, but we randomize what he looks like.
And
oops, go ahead.
I was going to say there's roughly 530 different options. So Stoppable Force, there's a question we must ask.
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? And is it cute?
And does it have a butt?
Is it capable of being or having butt?
But this fight will be very interesting. Because if we look at PK's screen, even with all that extra he did on the moon, Cecil's at 2,300. Rosa's at 1,600. We look at Rybon also entering the fight. 2,000 on Cecil, 1,500 on Rosa, and I don't see a butt here.
No, I only see the top half of Godzilla. There is a butt presumably somewhere deep in that lunar void, but it's not on screen. But Godzilla's still pretty cute.
Yeah, Godzilla's adorable. That's 3,600 coming out from PK's Cecil. He does have the Silk Webs, 4K, not bad. So getting good damage here, this will indicate to me you're looking at 3 big bangs with that type of damage output. And PK is pretty darn good at nerfing. So as long as Rosa doesn't get one shot here, he's pretty safe. Sid is more or less the perfect target for that counter nuke. Rydia probably is actually the best, but not bad at all. Rybon getting the Rydia counter nuke target, that's going to be great.
Love to see it. Perfect place to see that nuke fall.
The only awkward thing for Rybon, though, is he has no Zerkers going before the first big bang until right now. So this is going to be a slower start for him. But he does have 3 of them total. So he'll be quicker to finish as far as the actual fight, but slower to start.
Yeah, it appears he's going with the power of 3 people swinging and leaving Rosa up for heals, whereas I assume PK is reflecting spells because I think I saw a virus land from that Palom that did not trigger a counter.
Yeah, he's going to look to get as much bounced damage as he can, and you may even see a safety Starvel on Rosa for upcoming nerfs. This is something that you want to do in a situation where if you know your healer dies and you lose the fight, you do whatever you can to not have your healer die, and a safety veil is very important there.
Rybon curing up from the Big Bang. His party still swinging away. Cecil doing 4,200 damage there. Kane and Sid are also here. And Rosa doing her part. Sid not berserk, maybe letting him throw out additional potions, maybe up using a vampire to nerf the impending Big Bang.
This nerf is going to be early, though. This is going to be awkward for him. He needed another cycle of berserks to go off. Or excuse me, another hit with Cecil to go off. I think this is going to be early, and I'm a little concerned this is going to be full power.
Yeah, this may be a wipe for Rybon.
This is a very tricky thing, getting the timing right on nerfing the Big Bangs. It's difficult to do, and yeah, that was not nerfed, but Rosa... Rosa did live, but not comfortable in getting that fight going. That's one of the rough things about nerfing the Big Bangs is you have to be extremely confident in your ability to do so, and it takes a lot of practice to get the timing right with the berserking. So again, huge shout outs to Rybon for attempting this as, again, a newer player, one of our pink puffs. It's a tough thing to master.
Yeah, going back in to take another swing at it. PK, meanwhile, still going along down here, but this Big Bang looks like it will definitely take out Sid and Pelham, nerfed or otherwise. Definitely nerfed. There we go. But really, Cecil and Rose is all you need.
Yes, it's a little awkward now with the wall on Rosa. If he has a Cure 3, this might need to have been Cure 3 used as an item, on Rosa to get her healed up, or timed a Cure 4 possibly, knowing that the black hole was coming out. Nope, just single target on Cecil. Without the Berserk, though, it's gonna be awkward with this nuke. This is scary for PK now.
Ooh. Now we have just a Cecil. PK's got to recover from this.
And if anyone can, it's definitely PK, but this illustrates that Zeromus is not free even with an Excal Cecil.
No, you can prepare, but you still this is still a Zeromus respecting zone. You still have to be careful, or Zeromus will still wipe you. But PK's sorry, go ahead.
He's in rocks. He needs Cecil to dodge, and he's gonna be good here. Rosa dodge as well. Okay, PK is going to be through. That got a little testy at the end there, but he's going to do it.
Yeah, luckily Cecil took a low hit from the Meteor as well, only 800 damage, so and PK's through.
There it is. GG to PK, our first finisher on Restream and our first finisher in the race as a whole. So PK winning this week's Friday edition of the community race with an official time of 1:29.26. Heckin' good job, PK, and GG's to you. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview. And meanwhile, Rybon's still going at it with this Godzillamus. We'll see if he's able to get his nerf timing down and get through it this time. I think he has a better idea now, where he was early on the last one. And meanwhile, while we're watching that fight, we're now joined by the ultimate God Slayer himself, GG's PK.
Yeah, that was quite the seed. I completely forgot I beat Noctamom until I was halfway down the Lunar Subterranean. But other than that, it went pretty swimmingly.
Well, without those levels from those extra fights, that would have been an even sketchier Zeromus fight than it was.
Yeah, it felt sort of like Tortoise beats the hare, because it's T-Pro, and I mean, we got Darkness with 6 key items, so you really weren't going to benefit all that much. The whole dig for the Crystal Sword in 7 or 8 different trap chests and then just get handed an Excal was not exactly how I hoped that would go. But yeah, the Tortoise sort of beats the hare in just getting levels on your way.
So I do have a question. You referenced getting Darkness Crystal with 6 key items. Have you realized yet, or are we just telling you for the first time, that you didn't check the Feymarch freebie?
Did I not?
It was the spoon. You didn't miss out, so you actually saved some time there. Calculated Galaxy Brain.
Yeah, let's go with that. I'm in this whole K Moon thing. I'm so just focused on, like, I really wanted a heroine robe at that point since I hadn't found a good sword for Cecil. So I was like, I'm going in here. Oh, it's showing up on my spoiler log right now. Good, lovely, wonderful. Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, I really want a heroine robe. I don't find a heroine robe. I don't even know if they're for sale. But hopefully, yeah, you knew that at least when I took the King Queen Evelyn fight, it was just for bonus XP. It wasn't any expectation I was getting a key item from there. I was just sort of hoping for a crystal sword.
Oh yeah, that was something that you and many of our other runners did, was going through and getting XP off of one or both of those fights, since Water Hag was the other one down there. The rewards were Strength Ring and Runax, so not great, but it's 50,000 XP, so not terrible either.
Yeah, I didn't take a save, so I didn't want to check that robe, seeing as I hadn't seen the gauntlet at that point.
Definitely makes sense. Early game, on a flag set like this, you have Distinct 8, you have C Mabion. The first three characters you see are Rosa, Cecil, and Palom. How happy are you?
You know, I was kind of happy. I was much happier after I looted that Earth Hammer and found a Cid immediately thereafter, because then I could just sort of like, okay, I'm going right up Ordeals. Let's get Cecil online. But yeah, I mean, you could have ended up with a much worse squad than we ended up with. I felt a little remiss about fading that Kane with that Golbez after I found the Dragoon Spear. But that just hardened my will to find a Cecil sword, which, you know, happened through the Pinktail, but that was not how I was expecting to get it.
It turns out there was one more in the seed. Rybon, I believe, looted one from the Ribbon Room. So just another one just hanging out on the moon.
That makes sense. If I hadn't gotten that X-Cal, my first stop on getting to the moon was going to be the hairdryers. But I felt like, okay, I have an X-Cal. I've taken Lord knows how many trap chests that, you know, netted me nothing that I was looking for. So I might as well, like, at least start my way to Cape Bahamut. And then after I finished the Crystal Sword altar, I was looking at my objectives and I was thinking, wait a minute. I can't be looking for Octomom. Didn't I beat Octomom earlier? But hey, it was dull, so you know, it wasn't some sort of elongated fight, and we'll take whatever 30,000 experience you get from them.
I think that's classic PK in a nutshell there. You got to fade Antlion as long as you could. You got to forget a couple things, and you came out with a victory. That's classic YOLO right there.
I'm not gonna complain about when, you know, obviously there are always gonna be things about my own game that I have discrepancies with, but it was a fun seed. They're fun flags. This whole eliminating the K summon is something I'm really excited for moving forward, because you know, this is just going to force, and this felt with just the T Pro, like maybe we're lacking the C Hero flag or whatever relative to ZZ4, but this really feels like a good practice for, you don't really have a choice. You just got to go to the moon. You don't have sirens, you don't have grinds, you don't have an edge to steal things with, you don't have a Fusoya, you just got to go to the moon. And, you know, it's like you're half preparing for Zeromus whenever you run these seeds, but now you're half preparing for, like, what am I going to do if I have to go to the moon?
Yeah, absolutely. And you dealt with the moon pretty admirably. Val, not too bad, but still annoying. And Baigen, pretty annoying. But you got through both in very good time. So overall,
yeah, when I saw that Baigen,
well,
I was definitely thanking my lucky stars that I had completely forgotten that I beat Octomom, because a few fewer levels in, I mean, that's one of the worst spots for Baigen in the game, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best, because the vampires also hurt there.
Yeah.
Like, just when you think, oh, I have a reprieve because there's going to be an empty turn. No, the vampire's coming out for 900.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening to it back. I definitely, at least as far as it goes, that was a floor 6 and not a floor 2. And I've heard you commentate several of my floor 2s, Pasu. Thank you to you, Unstoppable, Esco for rolling and restreaming, and Twisted Flax for pushing and not consuming any of the buttons.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you as always, PK. And if you would do us one parting favor, if you don't mind.
Oh, you want the tunes? You want the tunes?
Exactly. Let's hope we get
All
some
right.
of that wonderful Mystic Quest music from you as a
Yeah,
final gift.
I gotta exit back out, but I'll get those to you.
Excellent. We appreciate it, PK. And GG's again. You are absolutely phenomenal. And I look forward, we all look forward to seeing great things from you in the upcoming ZZ4 tournament.
Much obliged. Take care, everyone.
So while we were interviewing PK, it looks like Rybon also finished in 4th place, which means there were a couple of off-screen finishes too.
Yeah, we had Poydrak come in 2nd place with a time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, just about a minute and a half behind PK. Plumeria Knight coming in 3rd place, 1 hour, 33 minutes, 31 seconds, about 2.5 minutes behind Poydrak. And then Rybon in 4th, our 2nd restreamed runner to finish, coming in at 1:34:40, so only about a minute behind Plumeria. Very competitive times, and we'll see if we can get Rybon in for an interview. Our first Pink Puff to finish this race this evening, and again, 4th overall. And meanwhile, it does look like Rex is doing 1200 strats, always the showman, showing off low-level strats of any sort that he can get his hands on, whether they be Edward strats, 1200 strats, low-level berserkers, you name it, Rex will do it. It's kind of his thing now. So always happy to see this on Restream as well. He is using crosses to reflect damage from Godzillamus to try to kill Godzillamus with its own reflected nukes, using Cure 3s to heal up and Star Veils to bounce all of that back. And looks like we get What the Forest Taught Me from Secret of Mana. And with go ahead, Stoppable. My apologies.
I was going to say definitely a favorite tune of mine, but we'll interrupt it here because it sounds like we've been joined by Rybon. GG's Rybon.
Thank you. Difficult feat.
Yeah, you played it really well, though. You were the first runner that we know of in the Z fight. And if not for one wayward early vampire, I think you would have gotten there. You were extraordinarily close. Your seed was run really well. And it was just one unfortunate thing in Z took you from 1st to 4th. But you played a heck of a race, and I wouldn't let that get you down at all.
I appreciate it. I mean, I felt like I was really behind, though. Mess you up at Evelyn like I did. Sid taking a very long nap, unfortunately. Don't know if he ever wakes up. I think he actually woke up just before I reset, too, now that I think of it.
He did, actually. We called that out, and I was like, oh, no!
Yeah, just as it was fading out, but, jury's out on whether he'd be able to get a swing in before going right back to sleep, probably.
Yeah, good point.
But huge congratulations to you, first of all of our Pink Puff runners to finish the race, and with a very competitive time, especially considering, that Eblin issue and then, a Z-wipe. To be this close to some of the caliber of runners that are in this race, I'm looking forward to seeing some great things from you in the upcoming tournament, should you decide to join. And as far as this race is concerned, though, just kind of take us through, what was your thoughts on characters, on the flag set? Where's your mindset overall on it?
Well, from the top, my main thought was I'm up against some high caliber players. PK joined, Poydrak, Plumeria Knight, Rex Banner, fantastic players all around, and very experienced players. And I thought, well, I have to do something to try to get an early advantage. And that's where the whole, get a group of get a group, and then go try to do Evelyn Trap chess game in, especially after doing the recent Pink Puff flags, which involved a lot of K-Trap. I thought maybe I might be able to actually pull one of these off. There's a Cecil waiting in the rear, maybe I'll get an early Excalibur or Crystal Sword that other people wouldn't, and that would give me a little bit of a boost early on. Sadly, it didn't pan out like that, so I kind of got into a little bit of a risky mode. I'm like, well, I have to make up now for this further detriment, so I'm gonna fade Fabul entirely, just dive that hook route and see what I can do underground. And luckily, like fading Fabul was the right course of action. I was really hoping to find like a Bahamut or Leviathan so that Iridia would be also able to provide a significant amount of support early on, because I didn't really want to keep Palom. He's a great black mage, of course, but knowing that Warp Glitch was on, I wanted to have Iridia rather than Palom because early warp access. But when it came time to dive hook route, I had not found anything that would make Iridia useful, so I just had to retire her to the back, which I regretted near the end, unfortunately. Giving her so many levels, it made the Z-fight a little more difficult. But I think I kind of lucked into finding the Darkness Crystal pretty early, and then had a pretty fortunate slate of fights on the moon that got me to a level where I could just eke through Z on my second attempt.
Yeah, we thought that the pass find from Baigen, given your routing, was really a key pickup as well, where you had waited on Value Cave until after Baigen. I just thought that was a mix of great fortune and also some boldness going down to get your levels on the moon before doing that spot. So kind of a nice, luck fortunes the bold, if you will. That was just a huge pickup for you.
Absolutely. I was thinking, I'm not sure who's in K value, but I know they don't really give a whole lot of XP. I think it was 35k without a 10k item bonus. So I wasn't going to get my levels from it. I didn't feel like I was going to have sufficient levels when I cleared the Ogopogo altar at the bottom. So I'm like, what can I do? And the pass from Ogopogo altar as well as the Excalibur from the Ribbon Room, and the Ribbon Room generally being a pretty free fight, really paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. That X-Scow was really nice. The Sheila 1 check actually turned into a Pinktail, which gave an X-Scow as well. So there were actually two of them, which was, quite a bit of good fortune for all runners involved, because that Z-fight would have been rough for everyone without an X-Scow Cecil.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure where the Adamant was, but after getting the Legend Sword, I was thinking, if I find an Adamant up here on the moon, I'm definitely going back and picking up the next cow. But that didn't turn out to not be very necessary.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think I'm out of questions for you. Stoppable Force, you have anything for Rybon?
No, I didn't have any. Just wanted to congratulate you again on an excellently played seed. We spent a lot of this seed commenting on how you were out front and making some gutsy plays to stay out front. I believe you were the first one into and out of the hook route. First one to find a lot of things. So you played this extremely well. And if it weren't for that one Z wipe, I fully believe you would have had this.
I'll appreciate it. I'll try to do a little better in the future, and appreciate everyone, both of you, for commentating, Esco for restreaming, and Twisted for not eating the buttons. So look forward to racing next time.
Definitely. Well, GG again to Rybon. Thank you for volunteering, putting yourself out there to be put on a restream. And we look forward, again, to great things from you should you decide to join the upcoming ZZ4 tournament.
Thanks. And you guys have a good night as well. Take it easy.
You too.
And so it looks like while we were interviewing Rybon, we've not had another finisher. However, I feel like Rex has got to be getting close here. He's been at these 1200 strats for quite a while now, going through and reflecting all this damage, making sure that he does not eat any unnecessary nukes, waiting for the black hole, knowing the script on Zeromus. And so as long as Rex has the Star Veils and the Cure 3s to pull this off, he's going to be able to get through this.
Yeah, it's interesting, PK, mentioning the tortoise and the hare. This is really kind of the tortoise of approaches to Zeromus. It's not fast, but if you can pull it off, it's very steady.
Yeah, I wonder if the thought ever crossed Rex's mind, where one of the very interesting things you can do with 1200 strats is you can do an accelerated course on 1200. And what I mean by that is with Excal Cecil, you can Zerk him up and you can try to push up to that 41,000 damage threshold. Because up until the 41,000 damage, Zeromus will not tip his HP to the next phase. And so as long as you kill off that Cecil or find a way to stop him from being berserked, you then only have to worry about reflecting an additional 20,000 from 41,000 to 61,000, and then Godzillamus or Zeromus will just perish. It takes out a lot of the stress of having to worry about extra Star Veils, extra Cure 3s, and it would allow you to push a very quick 40,000 damage. So I wonder if that thought is something that ran through Rex's mind at all. It's very difficult to pull off, to get Cecil to stop hitting things once he starts, but would have been a very interesting thing to see him attempt.
Yeah, I've seen it done with a unicorn to cure his berserk, but you have to do it. You have to do it in time to account for the fact that Cecil's already gonna have a swing queued up. So
right.
it takes some quick thinking and quick menuing.
And math.
And math. I know by this point in the seed, I'm usually not that great at holding numbers in my head. I just want to let man big sword swing at Zeromus. Sword go burr. But yeah, Rex may have just opted for it looks like he's opted for regular Covenant strats here. And there's another black hole, so it'll be time for another round of Star Veils. Meanwhile, Reckless Charlie, showing us some things we haven't seen, appears to have cleared the Tower of Zot. First boss, I believe, was the Officer Soldier fight. Unfortunately, just duplicate characters up here if he was hoping to replace anybody.
Yeah, I think he might just be looking for something to do a more conventional grind. I think he's cleared most of the moon, maybe with the exception of the Cave Bahamut spot. And this just might be a situation where he's not as comfortable with levels or with that fight, which is completely understandable. It's a tough one for sure.
Yeah, our tracker is Square pointing out that he looked at the Val in Cave Value and said, "No, thank you. I'll continue my quest for value elsewhere."
Well, speaking of quests for value, it looks like Rex has completed his quest, and Godzillamus is shaking and cracking and booming, and is quickly going to join his butt off screen on Rex's side, as Rex has finished in 6th place, just behind Pyre, who finished in 5th place. Off-stream, Rex coming in at 149.55 in 6th place, and will undoubtedly join us for an interview soon. We always love hearing from Rex.
And GG's to both of them.
Ooh, and GG to Rubicant there, taking a quad 9 ice 3 from Palom. Get wrecked, dude.
It was not, in fact, flame. It was ice.
And a lot of it. And we are joined by our 3rd finisher on Restream and 6th overall, Rex Banner, master of low-level strats. GG's to you, sir, on your finish.
Well, thank you, folks. GG's to the other folks. I don't know about master of low-level strats that wasn't the speediest this time by the looks of it.
Yeah,
not
through though.
Yeah, not speedy, but it looked safe. You seemed to have things in hand for pretty much the entire time. I think maybe it was dicey once, but you definitely were putting on a show there for anybody who's wondered how 1200 strats work.
Like, at one point, I just sort of messed up and didn't realize in the Viper space I could have got off a couple more crosses to do a little more damage, but Other than that, they see overall the 1200 strats aren't bad. It's just getting into a pattern and sticking with it.
Yeah, definitely. I did have a question that I kind of posed while you were doing those 1200 strats, and I was curious if it's something that crossed your mind at all. Was there ever a thought to zerking Cecil up with the X-Gal and letting him run wild for a while, and then kind of finding a way to take him out before tipping, or was that not something that that you were comfortable with, either the items or the party you had to do that?
It was a mixture of items and just the last time I tried to do the not tipping thing, I messed it up and ended up um, wiping. It didn't go so well, so I just played safe this time with the community race. I thought, we'll see. Hopefully, I can, sneak ahead. Because like I debated about whether just doing like find a 10th key item on the moon and just do some quick fight battles up there, just to get the experience.
Yeah, definitely. The early characters that you found, you didn't get an Edward, you never saw Odin, you didn't get to show off a lot of your kind of patented low-level sneaky strategies you love to do. But finding Rosa, Cecil, Palom, Kane, on Distinct 8 with C maybe, I assume you were still pretty happy with that squad, though.
I was like, Rosa and Cecil, I will never complain about. Kane is my favorite. He's best boy, and he lets me do some fun little things. So that Rydia makes a great anchor, or if you have the time to get her levels, good damage. And Sid is just so nice because early game he can carry you through, and then late game if you can find like a curse ring dwarf axe, your anchor is all taken care of. You don't have to worry about killing them off or anything.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And I mean, we always love to watch you race. You got through the hook route, I think just a couple minutes behind Rybon. It was quite close. You went up to the moon. You got to show off your 1200 strats. Did you go into this race with any thoughts of 1200, or were you looking to grind it all? Did you ever think of like Mac Giants or anything as a possibility, or was this just all about I don't want to grind, just let me do my 1200 and go?
You hit the nail on the head right there. It's just more, I don't want to grind, I'll just do 1200 and go. I'll generally just take what I get, like when I get to the point of go mode. Like, am I sitting at where 1200 is out of the question? Am I sitting at where I need to, just grind? So in this one, I was only at the 9 key items. I would have to do at least one more room to get a key item. I'm pretty sure I could have chose anyone and got something. I just thought I'd go back and do the 1200 because it was set up. It was easy enough. If someone just could also have a memory and remember where they seen everything, that I'm going to have to start taking notes and write down what I see in shops.
Trust me, we've all been there too. Yeah, Rex, always a pleasure to watch you do what you do. Always a showman on Restream. I feel like I've exhausted all of our time in our interview with you, but Stoppable, you got anything for Rex?
No, I don't. I just want to say GG's again, and it was really interesting to see these 3 Z fights with 3 different strategies. Obviously, the 1200 standing out the most. It's very good, and congrats on your race tonight.
Well, thank you, folks. GG's to all the racers. Thank Possum and Stoppable Force for the commentary. Thanks Esco for the restream, and I'm going to say Twisted Flax on the button pushing. Thank you, folks, very much. You guys have yourselves a good evening.
You as well.
All right. Well, it looks like we do have 3 of our runners done on Restream. And it looks like in the race itself, we have also collected a 7th place finisher in Frostbite 3030. It looks like we are going to be, now that we have most of our Restream done, we are going to be sending everybody over to Reckless Charlie stream to watch the end of this. So if you have enjoyed what you've seen from Reckless Charlie so far, please stick around. Remember, no spoilers. You will get the bonk, but we would definitely like to thank everyone for hanging out tonight with us. This has been an absolute blast. Again, one more shout out for Rybon, Rex Banner, PK, and Reckless Charlie for volunteering on Restream. A huge shout out again to Escorian and to Twisted Flax for restreaming and button pushing. And again, thank you so much, Stoppable Force, for making this a blast. Love working with you.
Thank you, Possum. It's always been a pleasure.
And yeah, everybody have a great night. Stay healthy, stay blessed, and y'all enjoy the rest of the race from Reckless Charlie. Bye now.
Good night, y'all.